Welcome, students, to another day in the foods classroom. Today we are going to be preparing cream puffs, but only half of the recipe because we'll first make the cream puff, the shell, on one day, and then we're going to need to let them cool all the way down before we put the filling onto the inside. So this demonstration is just the making of the shell, just the making of the shell. So previous to right now, I've done a few things. First off, I've washed my hands with soap and water for a minimum of 20 seconds. I have read through the recipe so I understand it. I have assembled the ingredients and the pieces of equipment so they're at my fingertips so I can go just right straight through the instructions. So let's go ahead and begin. Step number 1 says that I want to take and preheat my oven to 400 degrees. That's going to take approximately 15 to 20 minutes, so make sure you get taken care of that right off the bat. It needs to have time to preheat. Step number 2 says to get a cookie sheet and to do one of two things. Either you're going to grease it or you're going to use parchment paper. If you choose to grease it, you can do it one of two ways. The first way is you can get some of your nonstick spray and spray a light coating over it. The second way you can do it is to get some shortening and spread that on the top of it. Or the third way, which is the way I prefer, is to work with some parchment paper. Makes cleanup a breeze. Here at school, the head chefs will pick up this piece of paper and notice that it's cut to fit almost exactly. I just have to make a quick little bend on one side, this cookie sheet. Parchment paper is paper that has been specially treated with a non-stick substance that is heat resistant and will stay on the paper and not let things stick to it. I would say this in particular because though it does look an awful lot like wax paper, it is not wax paper. If you put wax paper on this cookie sheet, the wax from the paper will literally melt onto your pan or into your food, or both. So do not use wax paper whenever you're cooking something in the oven. Right here is our cookie sheet with the parchment paper on it, ready to go. So we're going to place it to one side. The next thing that happens on step number 3 is to use a saucepan. And I want you to use a small saucepan. Maybe you might want to take note of that. And that small saucepan I want to put on a small burner. It should fit the size of the pan. I don't want to have the heat going out around the outside edges of it. I want the heat to be concentrating right underneath that pan so the pan gets hot. It tells me that I'm going to put in 1/4 of a cup of butter, which is 1/2 of a stick. I'll put that right into my little pan. The next thing I'm going to be putting in is some water, and if I look up on my recipe, it says that I have 1/2 cup of water, and when you measure a liquid, remember you're using a liquid measuring cup. I'm going to put it on the countertop because if I pick it up, I can tip it one way or another. Countertop, then I'm going to pour, this is water in my pitcher, I'm going to pour that 1/2 cup. And I'm going to squinch down at eye level. Maybe you can't see me, but I am. I'm at eye level looking right straight across till I get 1/2 of a cup. Once I get 1/2 cup, I'm good to go. I'm going to place this into my pan with my butter. That doesn't look too cool of a mixture, does it? I'll put all of those in there, drip every little last bit off, and then I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. The salt amount is 1/8 of a teaspoon. You have a container like this that you can use. There's also a salt shaker. You could take the lid off of it. This is the way I prefer to do it. I use my 1/8 of a teaspoon measuring spoon. It's the teeniest one in your kitchen. I'm going to fill it till it's slightly overflowing because I want to get an exact measurement. I want to be a perfect cook, and then I'll level that off and place that into my mixture. All right, this salt that's in this container in my bowl, I'm not going to put back into my salt canister because it could have been contaminated. This salt is fairly inexpensive to purchase, so I'm just going to throw it away. After I do that, I am going to grab my silicone basting spoon, and I'm going to come over here and maybe, I don't want to say play with it, but I just want to get this butter melted down. And since I'm just sitting here waiting, I'm going to take a look ahead at the next step that I might be able to do. I'm running down here. It says the next thing I'm going to be doing is stirring in some flour. So let's get the flour ready. Here's my flour container. And by this time you should know how to measure flour. I'm going to stir this around and foof it up. Is that a cooking term, foof? I hope so. Getting it so it's light and fluffy. And then I will place it into my measuring cup. This is the correct way to measure flour. Otherwise, you're going to be packing it down. Then I'm going to use the straight edge of my metal spatula and I'm going to karate chop off the top. I'm going to place this down so it's at my fingertip, though my water's boiling here. Look, if you can tell, there's still some butter in there that's still wanting to melt. I'm going to go ahead and remove that to the side. Let's give this a stir. I've still got, can you see I've still got a little bit of butter? Isn't that funny that it could be boiling and yet the butter's not melted? You wouldn't think that that's possible. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of be patient here for a half a minute. And I'm going to wait till that butter's all melted. Looks pretty good, but before I go ahead and stir in the flour, notice that on your instructions, it says, first thing, reduce the heat to low. So it's been on high, let's get it all the way down here on low. It's low temperature. And now I'm gonna pop this in here. Be careful because it could give you a face full of flour if you do it carelessly. And at first this isn't looking like it's doing anything, it's looking like a mess. But as I continue to stir, the flour dissolves out into that mixture and slowly it's going to come together more as something non-lumpy bumpy. I want to stir this lots. So at first I was a little bit more careful because the flour could have come out. But now that the flour is all absorbed, I'm going to go ahead and be a little bit more tough on it. Now at this point, it's all come together. Notice it forms like I could make it be a ball, but I'm gonna now take it. It's leaving the sides of the pan. Can you see that? I'm gonna remove it from the heat. I'm gonna turn off my burner because I'm actually done with it. And now I'm gonna just sit here for about 1 minute and I'm gonna stir this, even kind of vigorously. I want it to a little bit cool down. The next part of my instructions tell me that I'll be adding an egg. And if my mixture's too hot, I'm gonna have scrambled eggs inside of my cream puff. So I'm gonna cool it for 1 to 2 minutes. I'm gonna step away for 1 second and grab a hot pad so I can put this on my countertop. Alrighty, I am back. Let's see, let's pull this right over here. It'll be a little more convenient for me to show you as I'm sitting here stirring. I'm keeping an eye on the clock. And I've pretty much been a minute. Let's give it 1.5 minutes. And I'm just stirring it vigorously. Stirring, stirring, stirring. And this is gonna also help make our cream puffs be light and fluffy. Okay, giving it a good workout. Oh, my arm's a little bit burning. You see how that's coming away from the sides of the pan, not sticking a touch? That's pretty cool. Okay, after that's cooled, kind of sad, removed it from the heat, cool it for 1 to 2 minutes. You don't have to stir it, I think it's best to. Then we're gonna pull in the eggs. Now notice that it says to beat 1 egg into it, and after that one's beat in, then you beat the second one in. Now for those of you that have never cracked eggs, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first way is the safest and easiest way. You're gonna hold this egg securely in your hand, and then I'm gonna turn it upside down, and on the countertop, I'm just gonna give it a rap, tap, tap. And then I'm gonna find that it'll have like a little indentation. Can you see that? And I'm gonna use that and put both of my fingers right there together, knuckles together, and I can pull it apart. Only I'm gonna pull it apart upside down, okay? I'm gonna put that right into that mixture. All right, there's one way, okay? I'm gonna put that in a bowl, and I come back here, and if you've got egg white all over your hands, you probably ought to stop and wash your hands for that 20 seconds. There's a bacteria that's found in eggs, in poultry, that's all your chickens and turkey and stuff. And one of the problems with that bacteria is that your body doesn't like it very much. It's called salmonella. All right, right, so I'm coming back here and I'm just gonna stir this. And at first it's kind of weird, don't you think? It's all like coming into gloops and glops. Be patient. Keep stirring it. We're breaking down the egg white and the egg yolk, getting it all. Don't give up. It looks weird, doesn't it? Yep, keep stirring it. Keep stirring it. Slowly, slowly, those pieces get smaller and smaller, and it's going to become more and more like a paste. All right, watch my time. Don't give yourself thinking that it's taken too long, because it takes me a while too. Look at the color from the egg yolk has made that turn from a white to a pretty yellow. Okay, after that first one's in, you're up for the second go round. The second way that there is to crack an egg is rather than cracking it on the countertop, you can use the side of a bowl or you can use the side of your pan. Hold it again securely in your hand so it doesn't fall on the countertop or the floor. That always seems to be trouble. I'm gonna hold this securely and I'm gonna rap, tap, tap the side of this bowl until it's got a crack, okay? Then, same idea, I can come in here and I can pull that open. I'm trying to be careful not to get any egg white on my hands. I was successful. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm gonna take this spoon and I'm going to try to get that all mixed in. Oh, at first it's really weird again. And that has to do with the egg white, the thick egg white and the thin egg white, and the egg yolk saying, what the heck? What am I doing in here? I try to hang together, but you're consistent, you're persistent, and you just keep beating this and beating it and beating it until it all comes together like a paste. Alrighty, and we are getting closer, but not quite there, but we're right on the very edge. Gonna go ahead and stir that just a little bit longer. Oh, we're getting really close now. Did you see all of a sudden it kind of changed? And scrape the bottoms and sides. Scrape it so that it all comes together and is the same consistency, nice and smooth. Now it wants to hang onto the sides of the pan again. Isn't that strange? All right, we're gonna go ahead and get that so it's all there together. No lumps, no bumps, no anything weird. And we are ready now to go on to step number 8, which is to put the paste, the dough, onto your cookie sheet. Now this says that it makes 4 to 5, and we are making some pretty large cream puffs. If you'd like, and you're at home, you can make them very small. So they're bite-sized. These ones are going to be about the size of the palm of my hand anyway, and nice and puffy. Those of you here at school, if you have less than 4 people in your group, I want you to do 6. Like if there's 3 people in your group, don't be doing 3 huge ones, just do 6 smaller ones. If you have 4 people in your group, I think that's just great. Go ahead and use that. I'm gonna grab 2 of my serving spoons, also known as tablespoons. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna make a nice spoonful of it. And then I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna scrape it off with the back side of a second one. I wanna kind of keep it in a rounded mound. All right, scrape this off here right now if I can. I might come back and use that spoon. I'm gonna go with the second one. I'm trying to think of and scoop up only the amount that would make them all be about the same size. Okay, here's the third one. And here goes my 4th one. I'm gonna kind of scrape my pan nice and clean. All right, here's my 4th one. If I have extra of this mixture, I might want to go back and put it on one that's maybe smaller, like this one's here. But these will be funky looking. They'll be strange little guys when you come back out. I'm going to take this one right here and kind of make it a little bit more round around the edges. I don't want to play too much with it. Same thing right here. I'm just going to get a little bit more round rather than oblong shape. All right, I think I'm good to go. Now I'm going to take and place these in the oven and I'm going to bake them for 30 or 35 minutes. I wonder what I should do. What do you think? What should I set my timer for? If you said 32, you're wrong. If you said 35, you're wrong. If you said 30, you're right on, because at 30 minutes, I can check them. And if I need to cook them more, I can. If I have cooked them to 35 minutes and they were done at 30, then I'm going to be in trouble. So we'll place these in the oven and set the timer. And in our classroom, the person who puts the cookie sheet or the food in the oven is the person that sets the timer. Please set, for you students here at school, please set your microwave timer. That one's easier for me to hear and respond to. All right? We'll see you on the flip side.